Everyone's kind of wondering where we fit and what this looks like going forward. Is this stuff still worth learning? Things can be generated instantly today, but I don't think that makes making irrelevant. I think if anything, it makes it more sacred, more valuable, more appreciated. And I think the Blender origin story, where we all came together and did something pretty amazing, I think we're on another precipice to do that again. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to the second official BCON here in North America. And I think somewhere between planning this thing and all of you being here today, this almost didn't happen. You guys are here. This almost did not happen. And I think that's real. It feels fitting because I don't think anyone fully understands what's happening right now. What's going on in work, in your life, and everything happening around AI. There, I said the word within the first minute of the conference. Write it down, don't tell anybody, right? But what does all this uncertainty mean for us? How do we navigate it in our work, in our life? And how do we inspire the next generation to come in to keep creating and keep being creative? Because I do believe that's what moves the world. I have to manually tell them the slide. So. As Amber said, I'm the co-founder of Autotroph, along with my good friend and co-founder, Jonathan Williamson. We are the small 100% remote team behind Blender projects of CG Cookie, Superhive, Orange Turbine, and somehow this. So we keep ourselves quite busy. Before all this, I spent about a decade in the game industry, working in different video game companies as a 3D environment artist. Games like Midway Games, Robomoto, and High Voltage. Before that, I studied 3D media arts and animation. I got my bachelor's degree about 25 years ago, and I'm still paying for that degree. That is not a joke. That is real, which I think is interesting because I think people are starting to ask the uncomfortable question. Is this stuff still worth learning? Is this stuff still worth doing, right? And that stuff being defined as 3D modeling, animation, scripting, writing, any kind of craft, right? So what does the future of this look like? And I think a lot of you guys came here to try to maybe figure that out. So let's go to the next slide. So for me, uncertainty has kind of shown up everywhere. In conversations with studios. It's working now? Is it? Okay. So it's been showing up everywhere. In conversations with studios, creators, artists, my own family. Everyone's kind of wondering where we fit and what this looks like going forward. Even this past weekend, true story, my young nephew at a family gathering who wants to become a 3D game artist was like, should I do this? And I do believe in my heart the answer is a resounding yes for the right person, right? But we can feel that tension, right? When we even talk about it, right? We mention all this stuff. We can feel that internal struggle, that unknown deep inside. And I've heard it can be kind of a lightning topic online, right? But I think that kind of proves a point. It's not just technical, it's emotional, right? It's tied to our identity, how we see ourselves, all that stuff kind of moving forward. But if I take a step back, I'll say how we approach problems doesn't change though. So how we approach through uncertainty, how we solve, how we creatively iterate, evolve, that doesn't change. The process, the craft, taking something that didn't exist before and making it into something new that other people can experience, feel, and have a reaction to, I don't think that goes away. So I'm going to tell you a quick dragon story. So a couple years ago, many years ago, CG Cookie had a booth at an anime convention where we had this dragon on display. So it was this really cool dragon. I bought a piece of wood from Home Depot. It was mounted there, and people would walk by and generally just be like, oh, cool dragon, right? And that was it. But those that we were able to hey, this dragon was hand sculpted And then you'd see them stop. You'd see them pause. Be like, what? What are you telling me? That's hand sculpted? They would lean in. They would look closer. They would ask questions. Be more curious about it. And the funny thing is, nothing about that object changed. Just the perception of it. The process changed the value of the object. And I think that doesn't go away with any digital art 3D. Maybe it'll let risk of being a little bit more underneath the surface, but kind of give me a little of a note. I was working for this talk of like, that's what to lean into. That's what's going to get us through the next decade, is learning and lean into the process. I think our biggest risk is losing connection to that, whether that's digital, traditional, in our work. So my insight kind of stuck with me a little bit is just that things can be generated instantly today, but I don't think that makes making irrelevant. I think if anything, it makes it more sacred, more valuable, more appreciated, and it's going to be our North Star to get us through this next set of uncertainty. So now, if you think of your buddy's couch, Chris, you walk into my apartment and you're like, hey, cool couch. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. He's like, where'd you get it? I go, IKEA. You're like, oh, that's cool. You kind of applied a price. You kind of maybe applied a set of quality to it. And that might be the end of our conversation, right? But say the next day, Sasha, you come into my room and you're like, hey, nice couch. I'm like, dude, this couch is made from a remote area in Sweden by this collective that works on these 36-hour focus cycles to hand build these things. And they can't talk. They'll get in trouble if they talk. They have to hum. Because they determine the humming increases the structural integrity of the couch and the enjoyment of the person who's sitting on the couch years later. Right? It's kind of funny, but poof, everybody's perception of this couch changed. The value, all of a sudden, you probably applied a higher price point. You probably had a little more appreciation of what into this couch, and you probably want one, right? All right, one more story, and then we'll kind of keep things moving on. So I think this level of uncertainty, it's not the first time it's happened, right? I think as this has been exposed to us, we've all done the stories about the Luddites, all the different things. And in my own research of trying to understand it myself, the idea of candles kind of popped into my mind. And I kind of did some research, and why do we still have candles, right? Like, why do we have them? So you can imagine, like, when the light bulb was introduced, you would think that'd be the end of candles, right? And they didn't go away. We still have candles. But can you imagine being a candle maker in the 1800s? And then you've been doing this for decades, for generations, crafting these candles for your customers, these families, these friends. You're providing a sense of warmth, a sense of light, utilitarian aspect. And then one day, someone comes by and goes, you know what, Wes, I really appreciate everything you've done. I really love the candles that you make. But I'm just going to hit the switch and we're going to generate electricity. Can you imagine how bad that would feel? How uneasy, how fearful, how uncertain that must have felt? It's pretty wild. I think that kind of hit for me in some of the emotional level when we start talking about uncertainty in our industry right now. But they didn't go away, right? They changed, they adapted, they pushed to become something different. And now candles amplify the human experience, right? You walk into a room, it gives you a sense of feeling. They can tell stories. When you go to candle stores, the amount of work that's gone into marketing candles and bubbling that process to the surface, right? Oh, this candle was made in a remote section of Sweden. This candle was made from, bath soap I found in the Amazon. Like, all this stuff is put in there to make sure that the customer fully understands the craft and the process that went into it. And, to attach to the financial thing is, I looked it up, the national candle industry does about $3.14 billion a year annually in candle sales. And I almost would guarantee that those candle makers are using electricity to help make those candles. But I think what the candles did a really good job of shaping the value and kind of, at least for me, kind of bubbling up a little bit to it. So when we think about uncertainty, maybe it's not, so focused on the unknown, the uneasy feelings, or the threats of what this can do to our identity. But what does it push us to become? When we saw a couple of examples, we definitely seen examples of that, if it pushing to become more. And I think if we can hang on to that, what does this push us to become as a community together? I think we can do some pretty great things. Because we know that AI can generate stuff pretty quick, but even those who could generate stuff with AI, I still feel you need to know like the craft, the fundamentals, everything that goes into wielding this tool to do what you need it to do. You need the fundamental. That does not change and through uncertainty. If anything, that's our through line to get us through whatever the next 10 years look like. As you guys saw with the dragon, the process changed perception, or just the awareness of process changed the perception of the dragon. Nothing about that object changed. Nothing about the couch changed. I sold it to Sasha. There's like nothing about it changed, right? So I would argue, your knowledge, your taste, your experience are a requirement moving forward. So when I go back to my nephew who's asking, should we do this? And again, the answer is resounding yes. But this stuff matters. So I think we need to stay connected with the craft, the art, and the process, because I think this is really going to give us the best opportunity for all of us to succeed in this together. Sound good? So happy with me? All right. So I think this is why you being here matters. Again, thank you all for coming to this. I know it's not easy. We all have families, have little ones, old ones. It's a journey to get here. But I think this is really why this room matters. It's not about having the answers. I certainly don't have all the answers. I think there's probably people in this room that have some answers, and maybe together we put those together, we can find a path forward. But I think, to argue, it's not okay to disengage. And I think you guys have proven that today. So kudos all for showing up. You're not disengaging. You're showing up to see how we can kind of push what the next 10 years of Blender, 3D art, anything that you can kind of apply to that, right? Adjacent or in it. Because you're surrounded by people who care enough to figure it out. So today, tomorrow, we have a bunch of speakers and attendees from all of the industries that you can think of. I think right now, we tend to think of Blender, film, and games, but there's people here from medical, there's people here from education, from automotive, insert any other weird industry. They're here, and it's awesome. And I think that's the great thing about the Blender community, is that it's not just a niche, right? It's everywhere, and it's permeating into science, NASA. So that's a really exciting time. So you're here, show up, and be curious. So as you're here, open your mind, be curious. Maybe go to the talks that you might think are not for you. Kind of challenge yourself. This is a safe place that we can work this out together. So show up. And I'd argue if we all do that, I think that makes for a more resilient community and stronger together. And I think the Blender origin story is like the reason for that, right? You guys remember the origin story? We all came together and did something pretty amazing. And I think we're on another precipice to do that again. All right, so I'd be kicking myself if I didn't take a moment to do this. Is BCON takes a village to make, but it doesn't happen without the leadership and the direction of her right there, Amber Kelly. If you guys have already talked to me a lot already, you've asked me some questions, and I'm like, so Amber, thank you. And thank you to all the volunteers. Like she said, there's around 17 volunteers helping out, running around to make this happen. I included Autotrophs to help make this possible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so the other housekeeping, we need to give a little bit of props to our sponsors. And so I know this is kind of like the Lord of the Rings ending, right? It's like, was he done? Are we keep going? Should we get up? I don't know. Should we keep clapping? I don't know. But I think with sponsors is interesting because I think in the creative world, we may not think about them as much as we should. I know when I was an artist, I didn't think about them in my day-to-day when I was working in games and things like that. But they're not just here to sell you something, right? And they're not. And They want to be a part of this community. They believe in Blender. They're choosing to be a part of this community. Its history, its future, right? So when you see them this week, don't just walk by like they're trying to sell you an extended car warranty, right? Say thank you. See what they're building in our community. See what they're building adjacent to our community. And at the very least, give them a smile. Because that's why they're here. They're here supporting this. They're here supporting all the talks that you guys are about to share, the knowledge. And I know it seems very cliche to say, but events like this don't happen without them. I know you've heard 1,000 event speakers say that, but it doesn't. So thank you for all the generous contributions from our sponsors. Round of applause. So if you're feeling uncertain about all this, you have a little twist in your gut, good. Either you're hungry or it means you care and you're uncertain about what happened in front of us. But so make the most of these next couple days, right? Again, we're not here because we figured it out. It's because we are willing to figure it out. And these next 2 days, the efforts, the conversations you have, the introducing yourself to someone that you didn't know, that's going to shape to happen to what comes next in Blender and to come. So thank you and have an amazing BCON.